SSA has introduced me. My name is Senator Abubakar Kyari, the Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Food Security. From our last briefing and discussion, I will start by saying that let me recap from our last exercise, the one that we had harvests, that would be the wet season farming of 2024. From the reports that we have received around the country, we have considerable positive harvest. What I mean by positive harvest is that we have a harvest that far exceeds that of the previous year in all the major staple crops that we have cultivated during the wet season in 2024. Going forward, we also have engaged and have launched the dry season of 2024/2025. We launched the dry season in Calabar, Cross River State, in November. I think about November 14th, when we had the council, the National Agricultural Council in Cross River State. And for the first time, Cross River became a wheat producing state. And this is the first time we have gotten a southern state that joined the other 15 northern states that are wheat producing. It's a pilot scheme that we're going to have in the northern part of Cross River. And wheat is, of course, you know that it's a crop that is cultivated in cold times and under irrigation. And we also intend to, in addition to the dry season, we also intend to pilot wet season wheat cultivation in highland areas that are temperate, that are colder, places like Taraba State, Plateau State, and the same Cross River State. So we intend to this year also go into that. However, we have concluded all the interventions in the first part of the dry season of 2024-2025 by the wheat, phase 1. That was concluded by December 27th, 2024, where we have supported 150,000 hectares, and that amounts to about 300,000 farmers, which is one farmer per half a hectare. And the support we gave was subsidy of seeds, wheat seeds, to the tune of 75%. So what we are saying is that the farmer pays 25% and the government pays 75% of the seed amount. Then in terms of fertilization, is also 50-50, just like we did the last year, 50% subsidy of fertilizer to the farmers. And we have about 98% of redemption. So that is to say we have almost reached the 300,000 farmers and 150,000 hectares of the wheat. So that in itself, we're waiting for the vegetative growth and also subsequently the harvest sometime around March and April. There's a lot of enthusiasm and we have a lot of expectation in this year because the farmers have expressed their desire to go into wheat more than ever before, simply because the wheat is now becoming something that they are used to, and also the attraction in the profit and also what they can get out of wheat farming. We are also going to jumpstart the second phase, which is the rice cultivation. Rice cultivation in dry season takes place in irrigated areas for dry season. When the wet season is the whole country, 36 states plus FCT. But in this phase, we are starting end of this month and early February the southern parts of this country where they will be, we have already identified clusters where irrigation farming will take place, and southern part of north central zone. That is because the rains start early, and we are going to start doing the dry season much ahead of what we used to do. So the northern part, from the middle part of north central to the upper part of northeast and northwest, will be sometime a month later in February. So by and large, that also intends to support nothing less than 400,000 farmers. That would be 200,000 hectares for the second part of the dry season. Going forward, we also have other interventions. The outlook for 2025 is, you recall Mr. President's address during the New Year, where we have started receiving some of the tractors that have been placed on order, that have been procured since October. We have started receiving the containers. They have started arriving Lagos Port, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we should start delivering them to Abuja, to our head office, where we are going to assemble some of them that are CKDs. The 2,000 tractors from Belarus have started arriving Nigeria. And very soon, as soon as we finish the delivery and assembling, we're going to launch the tractors for onward distribution to our respective farmers. The 2,000 John Deere, the contract was actually consummated last week, where the Nigerian Agricultural Development Fund was mandated to carry out that procurement, and the contract was signed between AgComs, which is the sub-dealer of John Deere in Nigeria, and that was signed, that also for 2,000 tractors at the cost of $70 million. No payment has been made so far on that one, but the Belarus, we have made an upfront payment, and as they come, as we get the shipments, then the upfront payment was 30%, and then we pay for that particular portion, whatever balance out of the 70% that has remained. So that is what we have for 2025. We also have the work plan to deploy greenhouses, and we're going to start by doing that all over. We're going to have pilot scheme, but there will be some concentration in the southeast and southwest, especially in terms of tomato production for this year, for the dry season of this year, so as to avert what has happened last year in the case of that cycle that we always have, the rise in prices of tomato somewhere around May and June. That is as a result of, it's a cycle that has been on for, it's a normal cycle because of the kind of cultivation that we, horticultural crops exhibit, because where it is produced is not where it is necessarily consumed. So we're going to do innovative agriculture in such a way to avert what has happened last year. The other outlook that we also intend to deploy is the use of technology. We have seen, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to do all year round farming. And the faster we clear land, and the faster we harvest, and the faster we do other things that also pertain agriculture in terms of maybe fertilization, in terms of chemical deployment, whether it's pesticide, whether it's herbicide. We intend to use drone technology in doing that, because what one drone can do, 100 people cannot do in a day. So we are going to use those so that we fast track whatever agricultural activities that we do out there in the open so that we can fast track, harvest quickly, and then make the land available for the next cycle of cultivation. The other going forward is also the issue of funding. As you are well aware, we have received, Mr. President has submitted the budget to National Assembly, and we, in fact, this week, as from tomorrow, we are going to start defending our budget. However, what we have seen is the funding for our programs, especially the support that we have for smallholder farmers, is inadequate and is not will not be able to support the agricultural scheme that we have under the Renewed Hope agenda of Mr. President. So we are looking at other additional funding. We are trying to discuss with the private sector to support especially the youths that are very vibrant to take advantage of our mechanization program and all the other good things that will come with it, the harvesting, the drone facilities, and also fertilizer inputs and other inputs. It's very important to also educate our farmers that agriculture is no longer for the stomach only. It should also be seen as a way of business, something that will earn a livelihood. It's no longer about subsistence. So what we have seen in input support may not necessarily be what we believe that will incentivize our smallholder farmers to produce. I think we need to change the mindset and see how we can engage them in such a way that the private sector should be funding from the private sector should support agricultural production. You are also aware that we have had, the Federal Executive Council had approved 3 mechanization programs. One is the Greener Hope mechanization program that intends to, on one side, open up 25,000 hectares of land in each geopolitical zone. We're going to have an anchor state that will have 10,000, especially in those states that have 6 states, will have 15,000, and then the other remaining 5 states will have 2,000, making up 10. 10 plus 15 will be 25,000. In southeast, where there are 5 states, we intend to do the same, 15,000 in Angkor, and then 2,000 in the other 4 remaining states. Now, the trick here is land preparation. We have a challenge, especially in the Guinea Savannah down to southeast, southwest, and south-south. But we are also following with keen interest the communique, especially by Southwest governors that have said that they are going to develop land for agriculture. We're also going to be partnering with them in such a way that we'll see that we need to develop and open up these lands. In fact, Mr. President has mandated us to do that, to assiduously do and clear and develop this agricultural land, because what we need now is land for agriculture. Population of Nigeria is growing. I believe we have seen data that said in 2023, Nigeria grew by 5.6 million people. That is more than a population of another country. So you could just imagine that every year a new country is born within a country. By the year 2050, we're expected to be, this is according to World Bank, about 380 million to 400 million people. Now, 2050 is 25 years from now. You could just think how 25 years was behind. It seemed like yesterday. So 25 years ahead is tomorrow. It'll soon catch up with us, and we need to do all what we are doing, especially in the mechanization aspect. So the second one is of course, the Belarus tractors I have mentioned. The third one is the John Deere also I have mentioned. Then the fourth one is what was signed during at the side events of the G20 in Brazil in the month of November, which was the GIP, which is the Green Imperative Project, with the institution called FGV in Brazil. And they will be here in the next couple of weeks to sign. The MOU was signed, and now it is the turn to clean up the documents and all the legal issues where Deutsche Bank is supposed to fund that project to the tune of 950 million euros, with an advantage that over the period of its existence, a total of attraction of about $4.5 billion is supposed to take place. So GIP is also, it's a program that started 6 years ago, actually, and it never got traction like it did now. This is only the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, that has made that commitment and has reached to this level. So we're very excited, and when this program kicks off, this program is supposed to take the experiences of the Brazilian revolution in agriculture, where in all 774 local governments of the Federation will have an impact, whether it is agriculture, whether it is livestock, whether it is aquaculture. So there is no local government that will not have some kind of impact of the GIP. That also seeks to, apart from mechanization, there is extension services, there is fertilization, there is also pest control, and all aspects of agriculture that will be part of that Green Imperative program. Very soon as they come and we sign the agreement into concrete terms, we will roll out whatever programs that will be attached to all of these states and local governments. So with this, and also, okay, I have mentioned Greener Hope as well. So this, by and large, is what we have for Outlook of 2025. And like I said, we are going to ramp up production. I know the SSA has mentioned the issue of food inflation. Of course, it's also an issue of supply and demand. Prices, beyond macroeconomic factors, prices are determined at the market level between supply and demand. Demand is high, like I said, country is growing population-wise, while production is not actually catching up with the rise in population. So what it needs for us to do is, because land is not expanding as quickly as it should be, but we are also doing right now, we're taking baseline studies on all our agricultural research institutes so as to produce seeds that will be high yielding in terms of, in the particular hectarage that we have. So mantra is increasing yield, and that is what we're looking at. Mechanization is the future. We are still using rudimentary tools of cutlasses and hoes. I keep saying that you can never find an organized industry that manufactures hoe anywhere in this world. Hoes are manufactured in the backyards of our communities, our rural communities, with a simple carving of wood, and also blacksmiths molding the metal part of the hoe. So if that was an implement of worthy use, you will find industries manufacturing it somewhere around the world. But so we have to move away from that, and that is what is actually is that is denying, or rather does not attract our youth and women to participate in agriculture. So by the time we start making use of mechanization, one tractor can do easily 5 to 6, 7 hectares per day. And you could just imagine if you have an array of tractors that would do that. You would agree with me that agriculture would be so easy, and people would have will go into agriculture. So with this is what we have for dry season and also wet season. And okay, yes. Okay, there are other government policies that we have also taken in the last half of last year. Of course, you will recall in July, both the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security and that of Ministry of Finance have come out with the waiver on import duty on staple foods, most especially rice, maize, and sorghum. So that has been what came out. We have received some applications, but as it is now, that window has expired because it was for 180 days that lasted till December 31st. Now, I know some will be itching to find why it did not work, because I could see also in the media that, and then there was, you ask custom will say it's the fault of this, the fault of, no, but it's just about some decisions in the best interest of the country. When that decision was taken, that was in July, there was a lot of apprehension that we were going to have harvest will not be enough. And at the same time, there was a report that a certain number and percentage of the people will be food insecure. But going forward, as we moved in closer to harvest time, we saw that there was considerable harvest. And of course, importation has a way of dampening the spirits and morale of our farmers not to produce. From the time all arrangements and all activities were concluded, we saw that by the time you give the go-ahead to import, it will take nothing less than 60 days before it lands in Nigeria. And by the time, and especially in the case of rice, it was brown rice. Brown rice means it's semi-processed, because we wanted to also protect the milling industry that has exploded within the last 8 years. So we went ahead and we looked at the logistics timeline, and that would hit the market just about the same time that harvest will take place. Now, if you do that, and that dampens the morale of our farmers, then it means next year they will not go into production. So we looked at it and we saw that there's still availability. As I'm talking to you, there's availability of food. We also know that it's still prices are still, but they have been stable, and there have some foodstuffs have come down. I have a list here that has shown even from October, November, some prices have come down, some have stable. But by and large, in real terms, when you look at it, by the time you just oppose real terms between the previous years, prices have stabilized. Of course, the affordability index is still a source of concern for government, and that is what we are looking at and trying to see how do we bring it down in terms of nominal terms, in terms of purchasing power of Nigerians. So we are still looking at areas where we are going to ramp up production, and one area is certainly mechanization. And Mr. President has his eyes on that, and we're assiduously going to work to the letter to achieve that mechanization program of Mr. President. We'll go straight to the one asked by Atta in terms of the budget that you have seen, we're talking about. I'm sure you must have seen the budget. And having 2024, There are competing needs in Nigeria, but you must also appreciate that one area that we are highly excited about is the emphasis on security by Mr. President into 2025 budget. We have seen and we know that some of the results, the successes that we received in 2024 was as a result of some of those inaccessible lands due to insecurity that opened up. Case in point, in Borno State, where the terrorism was very high, my own local government, before now, was not even accessible to farmers. But there is one place where along the river, they went for 18 kilometers that they did bumper harvest of rice in the dry season last year. So many other areas. Katsina State has reported improvement of almost 70% of security that has gone down, that has opened up farmland for our farmers. So it's not as if we are to support each and every smallholder farmer. No country can do that. But what we are saying is we are also exposing our smallholder farmers to the issue of having access to funding, to credit. Something that I also missed out is the reorganization and recapitalization of the Bank of Agriculture. It's in the process, and very soon, within the first quarter of this year, you will see a report that will outline the reorganization and the recapitalization of the Bank of Agriculture. Bank of Agriculture has branches in all 109 senatorial districts and can reach out easily to those farmers. And what we are saying is you need to support the smallholder farmer lacks capital. So we have written to some banks. We are also reorganizing Bank of Agriculture to support what government is doing in the sense of public financing in the budgets and what have you. So budget cannot alone support agriculture, but we have to look at development partners are there. We're very excited. We're happy with development partners. In fact, even case in point, IFAD, which is the International Fund for Agricultural Development, is a United Nations Rome-based organization. Within the last 1 year in 2024, because of our successes in the programs that we have together with them, we have the Life ND, which is livelihood improvement of family enterprise of the Niger Delta, which is Life ND. We just got an additional $32 million because of the successes that we have received. They have approved that, and also an extension of that particular project. Then there is also the VCDB, which is the Value Chain Development Nigeria. They also extended by 2 years. And these are all as a result of the successes, and it happened within the first year of Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. The Associate Vice President Donald Brown came in March, April, and expressed his delight on the successes that we have achieved with the IFAD funded projects, and at their board of directors meeting, have also given us a new project that is about $80 million, which is called the Value Chain Nigeria, VCN. Will also be part of a 9-state program. So you could see development partners are having trust and confidence in what we have doing. Never before have they had confidence like this. In fact, African Development Bank they don't usually extend some of these programs, but they extended ATAPs for us for another 6 months to exhaust, because there was flooding in 2022 that had crippled their program, but we requested and they gave us that approval. In addition also, the NAGS, which is the flagship of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security Program, of course, is where we're doing the wheat and the rice and the maize and the soya and the sorghum, which is the pioneer funders, the African Development Bank, which they invested $134 million. Just recently, the Japanese JICA had approved $100 million to be added to that program, in line with that program. It's not like they're setting out their own program separately, but they align into that program. So also is the Special Agro Processing Zone, SAPZ, that's also spearheaded by the African Development Bank. We have also IFAD there. And at the same time, also Islamic Development Bank is also keen into those projects. So you could clearly see the opportunities that there are for funding. We just came back from Uganda. I came back 2 days ago, where we had the CADEP, which is the Comprehensive Africa Agricultural Development Program, the second phase. The post-Malabo, if you recall, is a 10-year program, and it's ending December 2025. So the second round will be Kampala, which is the Kampala agreement that was just signed, will be 2026 to 2035, another 10-year program, in which the African Union and the country's member states have agreed that 10% of our budget must be made for agriculture. Now, the case in point is because there was a big argument there, and we expressed, especially for our peculiar situation as a country that is a federation. We'll have the federal government, we'll have the state, and even the local governments. So if you look at only one part of the budget, then you will not be able to assess us properly, because we have the 3 tiers of government. So we need to be assessed based on that, and we have a very robust financial sector that also funds and finances agriculture. We have a very robust private sector. So for evaluation, we are there on tops. Ethiopia is one. Rwanda is also another. But believe me, we have so much respect out there in terms of our agricultural achievements. So in terms of livestock, the last time we had an engagement where there was a workshop organized by the implementation committee headed by Professor Jiga, where Mr. President chaired the event. I made a commitment on behalf of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. The Ministry of Livestock is the baby of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. And I made it, it was a declaration and a commitment that we're going to have a smooth handshake in terms of transition between the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Ministry of Livestock. And we have been having engagements with the Federal Ministry of Livestock Development as it is now. In fact, we are even giving them some of our vehicles so as to give them offtake as a new ministry. You could recall even on Saturday, even though we were represented by our permanent secretary, where a livestock settlement that was commissioned in Borno State, in Mafa, by His Excellency the Governor of Borno State, where both the Minister of Livestock Development and the Minister of Agriculture, and Food Security, represented by the Permanent Secretary, were there, and there was that good handshake that because the Ministry of Agriculture funded 40% of that project, and the state governments, and we have several of them, but this is the first one that was commissioned and put into good use. So that was a very good, commendable issue, and that is the right step in the right direction towards achieving the potentials and the huge opportunities that the livestock industry presents. Then the issue of post-harvest losses, I'm sure somebody must have mentioned that. We're also looking at cold storage, and Mr. President has, if you remember, the Renewed Hope Infrastructure Fund. One of the items there that is very prominent is cold storage, and that is to avert what we know as the losses and this thing in terms of fruits and vegetables. This is very key at the heart of Mr. President. And in addition also, I must say here and also declare that we are also looking into some of the storage facilities that were concessioned. You are aware that out of 31 silos sites belonging to the federal government, 17 were concessioned some time ago. And we are doing our assessment. So far, what we have seen is only 3 are performing. And that is a total of almost over 250, about 300,000 tons of capacity. So we are going to revisit that. We are going to have our meetings with the concessionaires and also with the ICRC, which is the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, to see with a view of looking at those concession terms again. Then you also mentioned about haulage. Now, like I always say, where food is generally produced is not where it is processed and is not where it is consumed. You have logistics in between. Apart from haulage, we have issues of road networks that are also an impediment to that. Then also other stumbling blocks, and government is doing as much as possible to address some of these issues. And then, you know, sometimes it's not the purview of the federal government. For instance, some local governments will just put a roadblock and charge unnecessary tolls or charges or levies on food transportation. So these are areas that we are looking into. This actually a committee that was set up by the Federal Executive Council to bring up a report on how to address those issues. So one way of reducing transportation costs, as we all know, is the introduction of the CNG trucks, and we have seen the explosion of that interest. I saw the other day along the airport road, I saw over almost 1,000 trailers waiting to fill up the CNG. I don't know if you've seen that. And this is something that is happening everywhere. So once we can, you know, bring down the cost of transportation, also food prices will also come down. I'll go now to the next one by Temitope Mustafa, Voice of Nigeria. You were asking how many tractors have so far arrived. Yesterday, I think, while some of the members were with me, we had to call the agents, and they have told us that they have 85 containers that have arrived, and they are coming almost on weekly basis. So if you interpolate, every container takes about 3 tractors. So do the calculation. So we're looking at about 200 and something tractors that have arrived. But the commitment is not how much we have now. When are you going to give us the 2,000 with all the 9,000 implements? Because there will be 9,000 implements. We're looking at 2,000 tractors. That tractor in itself cannot do anything. But we have, for every tractor, there is a plow. So we have 2,000 plows. Every tractor, there's a harrow. There will be 2,000 harrows. Every tractor will have a seeder, which is a plant, ridger, planter. Then we'll also have boom sprayer, which is 2,000. Then in addition, we have trailers, but the trailers, instead of 2,000, will be 1,200. The reason why that came like that was because we still have around, trailers are not something that spoil easily. We have some that Naseni has started rehabilitating. So they will be put together as part of the every tractor will have for those exercises. In addition also, we have 9,000 sets of spare parts that will come with this particular procurement. Then we also have 10 combined harvesters, of 330 horsepower. These are huge combined harvesters that will be able to do about 1.5 hectares per hour. So you could just imagine in one day, you'll be able to do nothing less than 10 hectares. 10 hectares is like 13 football fields. So you could just imagine in one day to harvest a cornfield in just one harvester. So we also have service vehicles, about 12 service vehicles that will come. It's a mobile workshop with all the items that will be there, that will be placed in all these areas that we're going to have those tractors. You also mentioned about the brown rice, and of course, you should corroborate what I said, because that was exactly what we looked at. And the fear of the, dampening the morale of and discouraging local production in rice. Any slightest doubts the farmer has, next year it will affect the production. So they're happy that what we're doing is in line with their aspiration. Ubalio Dochevwele, you talked about saving Nigeria from food crisis. We have also mentioned the issue of cross-border trade. This is something that is of contentious issue. Officially, on the side, Nigeria has opened up its borders with our brotherly countries around, but some have closed their borders on their own unilaterally. However, we also have it's not only that one. Niger is the one in the north, but we also have Chad and Cameroon from the east and Benin Republic from the west. You may know that we have agricultural produce from Nigeria go as far as Mali or Mauritania, and then on this side to Sudan and Central African Republic. It's of concern because I also look at food security. Production is not only about producing, but it's also the livelihood and sustainability of food security of the country. Some of the laws that are there in terms of the treaties, ECOWAS treaties, and even the legal laws is that only maize is banned from export. Now, the concern that I have mostly is that also affects the food security aspect of the country, making it less, available. But they are undocumented exports. That is to say, they are taken off through our porous borders, and no levies are derived from that export. So there is no benefit coming to the country. If there were, levies or what have you, then we can look at those levies and invest so that we can produce more. And then if it is something that will earn income to the country. But there is discussion around how do we mitigate all this. But by and large, I believe what we are doing is in the right direction to ramp up production so as to have lower food prices, availability, and at the same time, export potential for our farmers. Because at the end of the day, we will also be willing to satisfy the food demands of the country and also be able to export so that we can earn foreign exchange. But I understand your concern is because of the situation that we find ourselves at this particular time. You may recall last year, even there was some confiscation of trucks that were made when they were being smuggled out of the country. And instead of confiscation, Mr. President, in those fantastic decisions that said, no, we cannot confiscate, but go back and tell them to sell them in the market. And that was what was done. So these are issues that also that are in line with the aspiration of the country. We want to see more production. We want to have something that will incentivize our farmers to produce more. But like I said, how do we now support the farmers to produce more per hectare, and also we increase our acreage in terms of production so that we have excess, enough for us at affordable prices, and also be able to export some of these crops and staple foods outside of the country.